Hey guys, bringing you another knife review today, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Spyderco Junior, a very cool little pocket knife, and I've been using it a little bit the past few weeks, and I really like it. I think it's a very nice design. So just telling you a little bit about it first off. It is designed by a new designer, and I hope I'm saying his name right, Alexandru Dionescu. He's Romanian. And so this is pretty much his first design that he's having made. And so you see dialects there on the blade, kind of a mashup of his name. And I'm excited to see if he comes out with any other designs, because I think he's really got some talent. So this is something that was designed for children, basically, hence the name Junior. Something that has a very deep finger choil, almost hand choil here. So it's going to be very difficult for somebody younger to slip up on this blade or to hurt themselves with this knife. But it's definitely not limited to younger people, and honestly I don't think very many young people will be carrying this knife just because of the price. It does come in right around $130, and I doubt many children are going to be running around with a $130 knife. So it's designed for younger people, but really, honestly, it feels great in the hand, and I think just about anybody would like this knife. So it's a great little utility knife. It could also probably be a defensive knife. Now, it's not really designed for fighting per se, but that really deep finger choil, I mean, there's no way you're slipping up on that blade. It locks in very nicely, and has a blade just over 3 inches long. So I probably wouldn't carry it for defense, but it could definitely be pressed into that kind of role if it had to be. So let's take a little bit closer look at that blade. As you can tell, it's a very broad blade. I really like that. It slices very nicely. It's 3 millimeters thick, full flat ground, VG-10 steel, and I really like VG-10. It's just a really good workhorse steel. I've used it in lots of designs, the Endura, the Delica. I've carried it a lot, and it's just great. It sharpens easily. It holds the edge well. No major rust issues. I've used it in the kitchen before. No major rust issues. Probably just one of my favorite all-around steels is Spyderco's VG-10. Now this is made in Seki City, Japan, and as all the VG-10 is, and the quality on this knife is really, really outstanding. So looking at the blade a little more, full flat ground, very broad blade. It slices well. Your tip on there is kind of a medium strength tip. It's not really reinforced or anything, but it's not overly thin either, partly just due to that really broad blade. So I don't think you're going to have any major tip issues with this, as long as you're being reasonable with your use. You're not, slamming it into wood and bending it over or anything like that. Trying to stab it through quarters, Being reasonable with it, I think it'll be just fine. So, very nice looking blade. I like it. Very sharp from the factory. Very nice final bevel on that blade. And so it's very easy to sharpen. You do have that 13 millimeter spider hole, opening hole, that we're pretty accustomed to now, and feels great, very easy to open. Now, that spider hole does force the design to be a little bit wider. If you have a thumb stud, you can kind of narrow, make the design a little bit more narrow. So that's a little bit of a downside. This is a somewhat wide knife in the pocket, and the only reason that matters is just, trying to get your hand in your pocket, getting your cell phone, your keys, or whatever else. There's more knife to try to get your hand around, but in carry, it's fine, and it's really no wider than other designs. I mean, here's a Benchmade Griptilian full size that actually is kind of copying that spider hole. It's similar in width. SOG Aegis with a thumb stud, similar in width. So that's not a big deal at all. Now, as we look at the top of the blade here, just kind of moving on to overall ergonomics, you do have a nice run of jimping on there, which is nice. Along with that deep finger choil, that really helps you lock in and get a good grip on this thing. And so overall, the ergonomics just are very nice on here. They did kind of round and radius that handle a bit, so it feels very nice in hand. Your lock on here is a compression lock, and the compression lock is something that Spyderco has used on other designs before. This one, you can tell, is somewhat thin, but I found it to be completely adequate. And so very similar lock to like what you'll find on the paramilitary and some other designs that they have. So it's kind of a reverse liner lock almost, is the way you can think about it. So it comes up, just pops into place. Now this one has been a little bit sticky, as you can tell. You hear that click. It's a little sticky. It has loosened up a little bit out of the box, but it's still kind of sticky. Not a major issue, and I know there's some people that have come up with some fixes for that. It doesn't affect your function at all, and it actually locks up very solidly. But it's kind of one of those minor things that may bother you a little bit. As you can tell, it is full flow-through construction. Very easy knife to maintain. And this is a pretty simple locking mechanism. There's not a lot of parts or things to break. And I mean, I love the benchmade axis lock and other types of locks like this, but there are more springs, more pieces in there that could potentially go wrong. This, you're pretty much just relying on a solid piece of hardened steel. So very simple. Now, as we look at the handles a little bit more, they are a G10 handle. And it's a very high quality G10, and there are different kind of grades of G10 out there. If we look at the Spyderco Cat G10, this knife is made in Taiwan, and this Taiwanese G10 is not very grippy. It's kind of slick, actually. And I mean, it's still decent, but it's definitely not as high quality as what's used on this Junior. This is the same stuff that you saw on the Spyderco Police G10, some of their other more high-end knives. I really like it, and it's a good amount of traction. It's not so much like the cold steel knives where it's like really just going to dig in your hands. This is just kind of a medium traction. It's very fine grained, and it's just really nice. And you will notice it is mini Torx bit construction. All throughout, so you can adjust your pivot point if you want. You can take it apart if you need to. You have a very nice lanyard pipe on there, so you could fit a full-size piece of paracord or something through there, and run a lanyard on here if you like. As we look at the pocket clip, it is that very, very excellent wire pocket clip, and I really like the wire pocket clips. They just are so nice on the pocket, aesthetically. It doesn't look necessarily like a knife, and I really like it. They're very strong. This one's actually borderline too strong. It really, really grips onto the pocket. So you're not going to lose the knife. And one thing I will mention is that this is tip-up carry, and you can put that on either side, so it is ambidextrous. But this is not a loop-over wire clip. You'll notice that it's just a straight wire, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about. It's easier. This is the Spyderco Cat again. You'll notice this wire clip comes up, loops over, and then goes. So this is going to be a deeper carry than this just kind of straight wire. I hope you can see what I'm saying. Now, I would think, I haven't tried it yet, but you could probably steal the clip off this knife and put it on here, because the attachment is the same. So if you wanted an even deeper carry, you probably could, procure a loop over wire clip, put it on there, and then this thing is going to be basically flush. So really, really good job on the clips. I like that a lot. Very smooth action, and I mean, overall the quality on here is just really high. Spyderco is known for putting together really good knives, and this is no exception. Very, very high quality, nice fit and finish, feels really nice in the hand, good quality steel. There's just not really much to complain about with this knife. And it's lightweight, 2.9 ounces, so not feather light, but for this size knife, very, very reasonable. They did skeletonize those liners in there, so they are shaving a little bit of weight where they can. And so overall, I really like this knife. And if you can afford it, and it is an expensive knife. If you can afford it, I would say that this is definitely something you should maybe look into picking up. Now, it is running around $130, which is by no means a cheap knife. And, I mean, personally, I don't even like carrying around knives this expensive, some of the times, just because I'm afraid I'll lose it, or I don't really want to use it hard. I mean, I know other people, carry Sabenzas around and don't care, but for me, $130 is a little much. So, that's something you'll have to decide for yourself, but if you can afford it, I think it's a really, really nice design. So I'll just give you a size comparison to some other knives. These aren't necessarily competitive options, but it'll give you kind of an idea of the scale we're talking about here. So this is that full-size Griptilian. Definitely a bigger knife. Spyderco Cat G10. We'll take a look at the Endura. Definitely a staple. And I mean, really, if you take a look here, the Endura is definitely a bigger knife, but as far as the actual cutting edge we have here, you're not really getting that much more with the Endura. So this is a very efficient design. It gives you a good grip and a pretty large cutting edge in a fairly compact size. So very efficient design. And we'll roll in the Spyderco Persistence. So you can just see that. Similarly sized to the Persistence, just a tad bit bigger. So if you have any questions at all about this Spyderco Junior, feel free to leave that down below in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the little like button and subscribe to my channel. I have more knife reviews coming. Everyone have a nice day, and thanks for watching.